Welcome to Knife Chats. If you like what you see, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, share it with friends, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Thank you.
One of the questions I get asked most often is, what's your EDC? You know, your everyday carry knife. And like most knife collectors, I actually carry more than one knife a day. But unlike many knife collectors, I tend to carry the same knives for long periods of times. I don't swap them out that often. When I do get a new knife, I will carry it for a little bit, but it really will have to outshine the knives that I already have in my pocket. And the knives that I have in my pocket are there because I have found them useful in what I'm doing every day. So let's go over the knives that I typically have in my pocket. You're seeing three of them now, but there's actually a fourth one that I've been carrying for about a year now. Now up front is the Victorinox Signature. This is basically a 58 millimeter classic SD that has an ink pen in place of the toothpick. But this should be a tweezers over here, but I replaced the tweezers with the toothpick. I'd rather have a toothpick than the tweezers in this particular knife. The other blades you have on it are a pair of scissors, and then the small pen blade and the nail file with the screwdriver tip. And obviously the ink pen, which is a really good ink pen. It is pressurized, so you can write in almost any direction. It has about a mile of ink in this wee little cartridge here. And you see the cartridge just slides out, but really when you push it in, you'll feel that there's a noticeable place where it actually locks in place. You have to actually pull hard to get it out, and it will definitely go in and out with the little slide on the side. And this is on my keychain, and I have it with me everywhere I go because I take my keys everywhere I go. So as soon as I'm done with this video, this is going right back on my keychain. Oh, I shouldn't have taken it out of frame. I should have left it over here. Now next up is the Victorinox Explorer. Now this was just a plain old Explorer with red handles, but I switched it out with a pair of black plus scales. Someone has asked me to do a video on swapping scales on a Victorinox knife, and I guess I'll do that eventually. I thought there were quite a few of them out there already. Notice my really fancy lanyard on here, which is a shoelace. With it, because I swapped out for the plus scales so that I could have another ink pen. So I've got two ink pens. This one really does slip in and out. You got the little thing there to pull it out. And the way you use this one the right is you drop it into the slot here, like so. Drop the corkscrew down on top of it, and then you can actually write with it relatively easily. It's a little cumbersome in the hand and not as easy to use as this one, which you push out, and then so you can have a little length on it, you pull out the nail file, and you can actually write quite comfortably with this one for a relatively long period of time. I've used it for hours on end, so I've actually doodled with this, drawing sketches and everything with it, so just because it's a fun little knife to have. This one's a little more cumbersome to use, but it's there in a pinch. Other things on here are the small screwdriver, which I can use to fix my eyeglasses, which I have to do quite often. So, and then you got the toothpick and tweezers, and then the normal blades on the Explorer, which are your can opener with the small screwdriver tip that can be used for a Phillips, the cap lifter screwdriver, and yeah, with the 90-degree stop, and then you have the end-mounted Phillips driver, and that's really the way I like this driver. This one is a really good one. I do not like the ones on the back. I prefer the corkscrew over a driver, but I want that driver on the end here. So that's why I have the Explorer, plus a larger pair of scissors, which is very handy. And then the two blades, the small pen blade and the main spear blade. So those two Victorinox knives I carry with me all the time. And in the back you see a Rough Rider large toothpick. Now, if you've seen anything on my channel, you know I love large toothpicks. And well, I realized I was never carrying one. It's like, why am I always talking about these knives if I'm not carrying one? And so I grabbed a large toothpick, threw it in my pocket, carried it for a while and started using it. And I thought, man, this thing is really handy. And what's more is it's a very slim knife, and it goes into the pocket and basically disappears there. And you got a 4-inch blade on it. So it's like, man, this is really helpful. And, you know, you've got a steak knife in your pocket. You know, not everyone has a steak knife in their pocket that they can fold up and use. And it's, even as large as it is, it's still kind of less threatening than most modern folders, even though it is kind of a big knife. And it has a reputation about it, you know, with all the various names that it's had over the time, Dixie Razor and Saturday Night Special and all that other stuff. But it's really just a handy little knife to have in your pocket, and it takes up little to no room. I was actually carrying both of these knives in the same pocket for the longest time and had no problem with it at all. But then about 11 months ago, I picked up a modern folder known as the Spyderco Dragonfly II and decided to give it a go in the pocket for a bit. And so here's the Spyderco II. Obviously not a very big knife at all. I mean, it's right at 3 1/4, 3.5 inches long, closed. And you can open it one-handed. Doesn't have a very big blade at all, especially when you get up into that finger choil up in front. But it feels really good in my hand. I really like it. And I started using it and using it more and everything. And it never left my pocket. It just ended up staying in there. And so what ended up happening is these two knives tend to go back and forth between my backpack or my pocket. If I have this in my backpack, I have this in my pocket. Most of the time I have this in my pocket with the Dragonfly and this in my backpack. And the backpack is with me everywhere I go also. I ride the bike up to the train station. I carry the backpack on my back, you know. So the knife is still with me. It's just not in the pocket. If you're looking at everyday pocket carries, these are the three knives that are in my pocket. But this one is still an everyday carry. It's with me everywhere I go. And occasionally, for instance, if I'm going to the flea market, this knife is definitely going in a pocket with me also. And I'll probably have all four of these with me when I go to the flea market. But I have to have this one when I go to the flea market simply because I need this right here. I need the magnifying glass because I use it to check tang stamps and for defects and scratches and everything else on knives when I'm thinking about buying one or something. So that's why the Explorer goes with me to any kind of flea market, and it's in a pocket with me at that point. Usually I'll just throw them all in there, but if I feel like it, I'll leave the toothpick behind. Now, recently I picked up this thing, the bronze Corsair. Got it for a really good price, and it's got D2 tool steel in it, and I like the way it looks. I like the action on it, and so I thought I would go ahead and carry that for a while. But there is a lot of weight to this knife, a whole lot of weight. And so what I was doing is just replacing both of these knives with this and throwing it in my pocket. Quite frankly, I don't like the choil on this one. I feel like every time I put my finger in there, I feel it hit right on the edge there, and I have actually nicked myself a couple times on there. I've never had that happen when I've grabbed the Spyderco. So, and blade length wise, it's just a little bit longer. It's about a half inch longer than the Spyderco, and it does look really great, but really I feel more comfortable grabbing it back here, and it's got enough handle that I could have grabbed it back here all along, and it's really to the point of I wish they would have pulled this blade all the way back into the flipper. I don't think they really needed the finger choil up there, and I don't like to use that finger choil because, like I said, I've nicked myself on the finger a couple times putting my finger in there. So, like the Artisan Corsair, but not going to be an EDC for me. It's definitely not going to replace my Dragonfly II. The Dragonfly II is just more comfortable, and I feel safer using it. And I know this is heavy with the bronze, and I know I could have gotten G10, and that would have been a much lighter knife. But quite frankly, it's just the Spyderco feels safer. I don't mind having to roll it all the way around. I don't mind that I can't just drop shut it. Not one of those people who really need that in a knife. Now, one other knife that I have started carrying, and I really just flip it out for the Rough Rider 5-inch toothpick, and that is my Great Eastern Northfield Unexcelled number 12 toothpick. This is a 4-inch toothpick with a 3-inch blade versus a 5-inch toothpick with a 4-inch blade. So don't have nearly the blade that I have on the larger toothpick, but I like it. It feels comfortable in the hand, and I've just started using it more and more. And as much as I like the 4-inch blade, this 3-inch blade is legal to carry. So I'm not, I don't have to worry nearly as much if I get stopped by the police or anything of them confiscating this knife versus them confiscating this knife. I can't picture them stopping me. I'm not doing anything with it. It's hiding all the way in my pocket. It's not like they go around making random knife checks. You really have to do something stupid for the police to pull you over for your knife. But this one is perfectly legal and safe to carry. So that's why I think I'm going to start carrying this instead. I do have other 4-inch toothpicks, but I just kind of like this one. And you know what? It's like one of those things where you bought it, you paid good money for it. Why just have it sitting on the shelf? So I guess I'm stepping up my game a little bit, but that's really what's happened right now. And that's really the only real changes in my everyday carries. These are the knives. This one, a good 2 or 3 years, easily 3 years. This one, same thing, probably 3 years. Before that, I was carrying a Spartan Light, so it was the same thing, except it was missing the scissors. Fell in love with the Dragonfly II 11 months ago, so it's still in my pocket. And now I'm going to a 4-inch toothpick, the Northfield number 12 pattern toothpick for my EDC, replacing the Rough Rider 5-inch toothpick. So that's my everyday carry as of today. What is it? May something another 2020. May something another 2019. This is what my EDC looked like. So has it really changed that much? Probably not. Will I still throw in some other knife? Probably, but these will still be there with me, along with whatever the 5th knife might end up being. Any case, I'd love to hear what other people think about everyday carries. I'd love to hear how you rotate your everyday carries, and an open tag event to anyone who also is on a YouTube channel. Show us your most recent EDC, what you're carrying now, and what you're rotating in and out of your carry. I think I'll throw this out to Patty's Potato Peeler, and I'll throw it also out to Big Red EDC. And how about you, Jersey Knife Guy, and maybe JoJo? How about all you guys? Show me what your EDC is now. Thanks a lot, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.
Thank you for visiting Knife Chats. I hope you enjoyed your time here. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel and ringing that notification bell so that you will be notified when the next episode of Knife Chats is up online. Thanks again. See you soon.